welcome to Midweek Live. So glad that you're here. Shane and I are having a good time.
We're
talking about.
I
was actually quoting Apollo 13.
Mm-hmm.
Were you quoting?
Yeah,
Apollo 13?
I was too. Houston. I'm happy to see you guys too.
Well, we are, this is like a two-parter. So this is the first part of two conversations we're going to have.
And I'm just crunching on a mint, so forgive me
you might want
if I'm being rude to you right now.
Mute Shane. No, I'm just kidding. But this coming weekend, you and Colin are going to be talking about kind of looking back on 2020. And so I thought it would be great if we kind of talked about 2020.
Okay.
Unpacked it a little bit more.
Let's do it.
Highs and lows. We even talked to some of
highs and lows.
Yeah, lows.
Highs,
Yeah.
lows.
We have a small list of highs. No, I mean, like, honestly, though, I'll share some of the highs that I mentioned, and I think that they really are.
I'm joking.
Yeah,
I agree.
They really are. As difficult as this year has been, there have been some quality highs, I think, in the middle of that.
Totally.
So we're talking about that. You were on fire on Sunday. I've listened to your message 3 or 4 times now.
Oh, thank you. That's nice.
And so some of the examples you gave, I just wanted to kind of unpack those a little bit more, and I thought they were just phenomenal.
Awesome.
And then I also would love to talk about Christmas Eve and the early morning prayer. All of those things are just
cool.
We're just gonna see where it goes.
We're gonna talk about everything.
We'll be here for a while.
Together, we're gonna solve the world's problems. Woo!
Let's go.
Let's do it.
So let's just people are known for doing the highs and lows of the day. So we're going to do highs and lows of 2020. Yeah.
So I go or you go?
Yeah, you want me to go?
I go.
Go.
You go.
Oh,
you first.
Okay, I will start it off with highs because I think that it's great to focus on the positive things that have happened. And for me personally, seeing the church do some things outside of these walls.
Yes.
Worship nights on the lawn, worship services out here in the parking lot on the patio. We've handed out food.
They have a charm. We have literally thought, okay, when COVID is nothing but a memory.
Yes.
We have to choose to do some services outdoors just because they have been fun.
And we had really good weather there for quite a bit of October and November.
Totally.
And it was really quite beautiful outside. It was almost like raining leaves during some of our services.
I almost want to say, if you guys haven't come to one of the outdoor services, well, if you're concerned, feel free to keep watching online.
Yes,
But honestly, if you want to come, we're doing them safely. They really are great.
They're very tender.
Yes.
They're very tender. We've handed out food in our parking lot.
Yes.
We've handed out backpacks.
Communion.
We've done communion. We did Toys for Toby Lawless, which is a beautiful thing out here. Jean was nearly in tears. We had this table where we were giving like some of the essentials like toilet paper and hand sanitizer and cleaning supplies and stuff like that they could just, socks. And it was, anyway. So when we talk about the highs, I think of the ways that the church has, these things are things we've been doing for a long time. The things I just named off, we've done these things before. This is not that we haven't done them before, but they were happening outside of the walls.
Right, totally. Many of the things that we just take for granted only happen inside the walls. We only conceive of them that way. A need, let me say it this way, a need always gives birth to a vision. If there was never any need, you'd never have a reason for a vision.
Right.
So the need has provided us with an opportunity for vision.
Yeah.
And that's been amazing.
Yeah.
And it's been cool to see people jumping on that.
Yes.
And so, I'm excited about that part.
So I have to give a low now.
Okay.
I'm going to say that the lows have been the tensions, all of them, the political tensions, tensions with racism, and those are hard. They hurt. They physically hurt like me.
Yeah.
They pain me.
Yeah, there have been stockpiling of tensions and resentments and angers and paranoia.
Yeah.
And I mean, just
death, loss.
Yep.
Those are hard. Those are truly lows. Truly lows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Okay, your turn.
Well, highs for me would be I have seen some believers come to mind I don't want to embarrass people, but they come to mind that they have exhibited just tremendous character and the quality of the Christian spirit in this time that has been giving and loving and responsive to people's needs and responsible for people's concerns.
Yeah.
And many of our Northpointer family, I just want to shout out to all of Northpointe because you guys have been amazing in terms of your love for people and care for people. And guys, I'm just going to say, that is what it's all about. I mean, Jesus says every commandment is fulfilled in how you love me and love others. But here's the deal. Jesus says how you love me is defined by how you love others.
Wow.
So he says, all the commandments, all the direction I've given you can be summed up in love the Lord your God. But then he says, how you love others actually demonstrates how much you love me. And so it's like, basically it all comes down to loving people.
Wow.
And that's how we love God. I mean, gosh, so I just say, I have been thrilled at the way that I have seen Northpointers step up and say, I'm going to do that. There was, I just jump in on this one story. There was a person, I'm not going to name names or anything, but they said about us, they were complaining and sharing their opinions about mask wearing and rights and all this stuff. And I'm not minimizing people's feelings, except to say the person they were talking to said, well, at Northpointe, have you been listening to Northpointe? Because they actually talked about this.
Right.
And the person says, oh, no, I don't like listening to Northpointe right now because they're all about love. And
Ooh.
yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, my goodness. That's exactly, yes.
Well,
that's exactly right.
We'll take it as a compliment.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and I don't understand the mindset that somehow shelves that because there's something more important than that. Because according to Jesus, there's nothing more important than that.
The scripture that comes to mind is the one that talks about if you would have all the knowledge in the universe, and if you
Yeah. If you speak in the tongues and of angels, if you serve the poor, if you give away everything that you have for the needy, and you have not love, you're noise.
Right.
That's literally what he says. You're nothing but noise.
Right. You could be basically a perfect person.
But not done in love.
But if you don't actually have love, you don't have any of the love that's coming out of, it's an overflowing of, then you.
So I don't get, and here's where I'd say this is going to sound extremely judgmental, but I don't get that. Look, I mean, let's go back. I've just commended Northpointe, but let's go to some of the lows. Some of the lows I have seen displayed, yes, even by Christians, on various social media platforms and in person and to my email inbox and you name it. But this thing where we care more about our being inconvenienced than we do the opportunity God has given us to be salt and light, to be people that don't know him. I struggle with that. That is very hard for me to digest. But I have seen that repeated, and it's embarrassing as a Christian. It's like, you know how we said a need provides an opportunity for vision?
Right.
Guys, I would just say, I mean, this is very challenging, but this whole COVID thing has been God's opportunity to allow us to bear fruit.
Yeah.
Fruit is to bear the character of Jesus.
Right.
Every inconvenience is an opportunity to, wow, Lord, I get to learn how to be patient. I get to learn how to use self-control.
Yeah.
And it's like when you live for Jesus and you're wanting to be like Jesus, it's like, gosh, Lord, I got an opportunity here.
Well, and you gave a great example. As you're even saying this, I'm thinking, being a parent gives us a great example of that. And you actually gave this example on Sunday.
Okay.
You gave the example of you're upstairs, your kids are arguing, and you're trying to correct poor behavior.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about this right now, we're actually talking about the kids fighting, right?
Right. Yeah.
In this situation, we're actually talking about the kids fighting.
Yeah.
And when there is upset, frustration, anger, and all of that, and we only choose to be that, and they're young, they're kids, so they're not able to see what compromise could be a benefit here. We're not able to see how maybe sharing or seeing the other person's side of things could make this situation better, because they're kids.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, and
so part of it is maturing in our faith to understand that it's about humbleness. It's about loving the other person. It's about trying to see their side,
it's about being willing to, it's about actually being willing that even if you think you're right, to choose to be wrong.
Right.
You know, that's what Jesus did on the cross.
Right.
The cross is about...
Wow. I mean, hold on. Let's stop for a moment. Yes, he was crucified wrongly. 100%.
And yet he climbed up on the cross.
He had every reason and every opportunity to say...
He said, no one takes my life from me. I give it
up freely.
Knowing that it wasn't justified.
Right. Because Pilate actually says to him, just say that you're... Just say it. Yeah. And this will all be done.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and he goes further to say, people say, well, that's Jesus. Well, okay, but he goes further to say, have this same attitude to those who follow him. You know, we talk about opportunities this year has provided us with. You know, I'm holding this porcelain cup, so this example comes to my mind, but this has been an opportunity to learn the stuff we're really made of, both corporately as a church and individually.
Right.
And, you know, it's sort of like this cup looks awesome. Like it looks like there's no leaks, there's no problem, it's holding. But the reality is, if I put enough pressure on this guy, and you were to film it, you know how you can do those you were to film the continual pressure, and you put this in a vise, eventually you'd start to see where there are weak spots in the cup.
Right.
And that's really what happens in life. It's like people look good until the pressure comes.
Right. And this has been a year of pressure.
It's been a year of pressure, but it's like, and we could say, well, gosh, I don't want the pressure, but no, God could be using that to say, here's an area of your life that we need to do some work on.
Right. Well, it's sifting you like wheat, right? I mean, the challenge is that, you know, and I'm going to sift you.
Yeah.
And so we've been, we're being currently still sifted here.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's like, I have struggled, if we talk about the lows, admittedly, and I'm going to preach it myself here because I've struggled with this too. So I say this with humility. But it's like, my goodness, we've been so concerned about getting our opinion out there about so many things. I just think, gosh, if we spent half the effort on spending time in prayer trying to get God's opinion about things. It's like, Lord, what are you wanting to do in me through this? How are you wanting to reach people through this? What is the character you're trying to build? And I know it's hard. I'm not minimizing the pain. I've done funerals for people that have died from COVID. I've been devastated by I've got loved ones that are suffering financially, but the reality is God's in control of this. And so I've got to be looking at what's going to be my response. And anyway.
Yeah. So perfect. I mean, so March happens. And we just were saying this. I'm sure everybody's going to remember the day that, you know, everything closed down, or this weekend that everything happened. We were here at rehearsal Thursday night, you know, you'd heard some rumors about stuff, and you know, we ended up calling a meeting for some of us Friday morning, and it was like, we've got to make a decision here because this is coming, and we've got to decide. And the decision was we're gonna be online, you know, and here that was March, and here we are December, and I'll be on. You know, my job changed in the middle of this season, but I will be honest that you know, almost from moment one, it has felt like we have this great opportunity right now. To actually put into practice the chances to see the gospel take whole new strides forward that we have never experienced before, ever. Because up until those moments, yes, we did live streaming. It wasn't really something we put out there a whole lot. It was like, hey, if you're on vacation, you happen to know, northpointe.org/live, blah, 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 you know. But the intentionality behind what we're trying to do online and the opportunity, so easy, my goodness. on a Sunday morning, I could go on Facebook and hit share, and it would share it with as many friends as I have, right?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
All of them could watch from all the places that they live.
Yeah.
Right?
And
they could watch it with me.
Yes.
They could watch it in their homes.
Yes.
With their Starbucks or their coffee or their whatever.
Right.
This opportunity has never been so
good.
This is such low-hanging fruit for us right now.
It is.
People need, and you position that in a world where there's so much loss of hope. So people are hungry for hope.
Yeah, so there's this felt need, this ache in everybody's heart because of what they're going through. We have the remedy, which is peace with God, which gives you a spiritual buoyancy, a joy that you can handle life. We could be exerting that effort and using this as an opportunity to say, here's an answer to where you're struggling. Oh, and my church is putting a lot of effort into making it into something that's accessible to people who've never been churched before.
Right.
Yeah, that's an opportunity. We can, because we can deliver it, we can share it, we can. I mean, everybody's carrying around a computer.
In all the different platforms, you can, it's not even. And here too is the idea that church is not just Sunday for an hour.
Right.
I was in a conversation with a friend, a Northpointer, while I was out and about, and the thought came to mind even as I was talking to her. I wonder if we just we had begun to worship the wrong thing. Just the more the like social parts of church, and those are really important. There is a place for this. Right, there's a community, and fellowship is important, and belonging is important. All of those things are definitely a portion of the full experience. But man, like you even brought up early morning prayer. There's some vitally important internal spiritual growth that needs to happen with each and every one of us.
Oh, yeah.
And now more than ever, we have opportunities to do that in intimate ways.
Oh, totally.
You could listen
there's no ceiling. There's no, like we're doing early morning prayer Tuesday mornings virtually now.
Right.
There's no ceiling. A building has a limited capacity.
Right.
I'm going to tell you guys, we are going to go from a church that was a physical church that had an online option to an online church that has lots of physical options.
Yeah.
That's really where we're headed into our future.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because there's no ceiling to that. There's no limit to the evangelism. There's no limit to the intentionality. But yeah, for prayer, same way. So for early morning prayer, we've been able to do that, and it's been awesome.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, you can even listen to. I even think of we had been talking about quiet times and what those look like over the seasons and stuff like that. But even your quiet time or your time could be the worship moment from Sunday. You could even just go on to Northpointe's worship YouTube. You could watch one of our services and listen
to that music while you're spending time with Jesus. Yeah, you're right.
Like I said, so many different platforms, so many different opportunities,
totally.
So many ways to grow right now. So things to look back on, we've said them. People are hungry for hope. This year has been really difficult. It's been heavy. How do we sit with people in that? So I'm going to be honest. This year has been hard. But it hasn't nearly been as heavy for me personally as it's been for many others. And hard, I just mean challenging in just experiencing the new things. Yeah. But I look at the hard and I go, yeah, but I'm growing in it. I'm being challenged in it. And I love that. I love any time that I can. I feel like the older I get, the more hungry I get for like growth. Yeah. Because I feel like you grow a lot when you're like a baby, right? And then when you go through school, you're tacking off the years, and you can see, I know that I've learned, I'm in 10th grade and 11th grade, and in college and all. But you lose the ability to actually be able to see the growth, right? Unless you're actually being intentional about growing. Right. Yeah. And so, I've sat with a lot of friends through this year. And a lot of them have struggled with so many of the things we've talked about. How do you sit intentionally with people and speak about hope? How do you do that?
Well, for me, how do you sit with that's a great question. For me, it has to do with, first of all, meeting anybody and everybody that you have the opportunity you meet them where they are. You meet somebody at their place emotionally, at their place spiritually, at their place intellectually. You don't try and have somebody conform themselves to meet you where you are. You condescend yourself. I realize condescending, that sounds like a bad word, but that's literally the word, the description of Jesus. He condescends himself to meet us where we are. And so if we're going to be like him, we say, man, if this person's grieving, I'm going to grieve with them. I'm not going to try and get them to stop grieving. And so it's the ministry of, it's really nothing more than the ministry of your presence in their life to meet them as they are. And so if they're hurting, if they're struggling, if they're sad, whatever it is, you're just meeting that person where they are, and you're trying to listen to them, and you're trying to hear their perspective. But at the same time, as you have a relationship with someone, and as they see that you're sincerely with them, as God provides you with the opportunity to give counsel or wisdom, or as they ask, that you're responsive to that, and you try and tell them why you have the hope that you do. Hope, in Scripture, it means that I'm certain that God's in control. I mean, hope literally means certainty in the Bible. It's not just wishful thinking.
Right.
And so it's this idea that it's been a repeated theme all year to remind people that I'm certain God's in control. I'm certain that, I don't know, I don't have a roadmap here. I don't have a map on how we're getting through this, but I know the guide. And the guide says he's going to take care of me, and he's going to take care of you. Our job right now is trust, and I know that trust is hard. But
when you say that, I could picture, Jesus washed his disciples' feet, right? So he came to them, not just to them eye to eye, but actually lower than them, and actually took their dirt, their mess,
totally.
Upon himself.
Yeah, which for a rabbi to do that would have been it's unthinkable. It's unthinkable. And yet he chose to do that in so many ways throughout his, 3.5 years or whatever it was, physically. And then he did that ultimately. He's still living for us. The Bible says he's sitting at the right hand of the Father pleading for us. He's still meeting our needs, and so, just meeting people where they are and loving them in spite of whatever the struggle is.
And how do you think, how has that affected the way you guys have, as pastors, you guys have led this church through some hard decisions during COVID? How have you guys come to some of the decisions that you have along the way? It's been different based off of the information we get and the different seasons and stuff, but...
Yeah. Well, I would say, honestly, for me, one of the guiding things is a series that we're going to go into in January where we're going to be looking at 1 Peter's chapter 2 and 3. Because honestly, so many of the things that we have navigated are really outlined pretty well. Because we remember that the Scripture wasn't written in peaceful times. The Scripture was written in a time that was much harsher than we've experienced.
Right.
And the Christians were being much more really persecuted.
Right.
We have not been persecuted.
Right.
I know people are saying that we have, and we've not.
Yes.
Not truly.
Right.
And
so let me just really quick, and I'm going to go there for just a moment because I've gotten this on social before, and that's been, just statements that say like, open the church, or is your church open yet, or and
church hasn't closed.
And I was just going to say,
church has never closed.
We've never closed.
Yeah.
The doors being open into
People
a building
ask,
you can
when
walk
are you
into.
going to open up? We've not closed. This is an issue of, this isn't the tradition I've developed and the way that I traditionally like to do it. It's an inconvenience. And the church has never been about, you need to sit this way, under this roof, in this way. Now, buildings are useful. We've built them. We've given to build them because they provide a use.
Right.
But they in no way make us closed if we can't use them, especially when the reason we're not using them, first and foremost, is because we want to make sure that as many people possible stay healthy and safe.
Right.
So we're serving others.
Right.
Then there are those that say, well, I don't know that I believe that they're not healthy and safe. Well, then You do it morally and ethically because you do it to meet people where they are in their concern. And so we choose to adapt our style. This is no different than the way Jesus has always done it. We adapt our style to meet people at their point of need, which is what I call incarnational ministry. It's being like Jesus. If I were to describe it this way, I don't have a whiteboard here, but the
you do
way
love whiteboards.
but the way that our church works is we recognize there are people at varying levels of commitment.
Right.
Your most inner circle are your core people.
Right.
These are the people that we hope are the most mature in Christ.
Right.
The people that we hope are really, they're disciples.
Right.
But then you've got outside here your convinced people, that they're convinced of Jesus.
Right.
But they may not really have grown in their faith yet,
Right.
but they believe he's the Christ. Then you've got people out here in an outer circle called your crowd. Then you've got your community, and we recognize there are all sorts of people at varying levels, right?
Right.
Our style of ministry for the disciples, those that are wanting to do it like Jesus did, and we believe that we're mature, then what it means to be like Jesus is, when you're on the inside circle, is you make your decisions always with the best interest of the outside circle. You're always making a decision to say, okay, how do we best help these people that are out here?
Right.
Because you help them to get in here.
Right.
That's the goal.
Right.
That's the commission.
Right.
That's the commission that Christ
Right.
gave us. How do these people on the inside
Right.
help those on the outside come in? Well, that only happens by meeting them where they're at.
Right.
And being with them. And so I just say, we've made our decisions as a church based on the outer circle
Right.
and what those needs are. And
Right.
and now, if we were a church that was, man, we're an insiders club and it's about what we want,
Right. That would look different.
it would look different.
Yeah, even as you say that, I think to myself, over the span of time, seeing the way that the Bible has reached lives, right? I had a friend tell me years ago when I would listen to my Bible, and I always felt guilty for listening to it. Sometimes you're like listening to it. And she says, gosh, there was a time when there was just one Bible and they were just speaking it in the middle of the court, in the middle of the city. And so, it's okay. Let yourself off the hook.
Yeah.
I was creating this specific way that I needed to do it,
Yeah.
right? When the
Yeah.
actuality is, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm listening to the word.
Yeah.
I just need to call myself to actually be paying attention to it, right?
yeah, totally.
But I think of like Billy Graham. How many people never really got a chance to go to a Billy Graham revival, but he decided to televise it or put it on TV. And because of that innovation of thinking, hey, I don't want it to just be for this crowd right here, but for more people to be a part of this, right? For more
Totally.
people to hear.
Totally.
Let's broadcast it. And
Yeah.
I'm sure in those moments, people are going, oh, this is ridiculous. Like, oh, we can't.
Oh, totally.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
supposed to be in this sacred, this is supposed to be this way, this extra
that-
sacred way.
Yeah, and that's dangerous because then you've got the tail wagging the dog. It's like you've created priorities out of the things that aren't the priorities. It's style over substance. And it's like, no. Listen, let's go back to persecution. The moment somebody tells me I can't worship the man Jesus,
then we
we got a problem. And I'm the first one to stand up and declare that, no, there's civil disobedience to that. I'm
Right.
going to worship Jesus, but I'm still willing to go to the cross if I need to and
Right.
follow the master to the cross
Right.
if I'm going to be
Maybe
punished
it's just
for
kind
doing
of
that.
understanding where your battle is, where our battles
Yeah.
are actually at,
Yeah.
instead
But-
of creating them.
But if alongside with other organizations and venues and industries that also have people sitting in confined spaces for long periods of time, they're saying that puts people at risk. Well, guess what? Their safety is more important than my style.
Yeah.
So I'm on the inside.
Yes.
I'm going to adapt to that to
Right.
reach people on the outside.
Right. Love.
So yeah, it's just love.
Love.
Yeah. There again. There we go
Love,
again.
right.
Yeah.
So, Christmas is coming.
Yes. I'm so excited. My
Yeah, but-
favorite holiday.
Yeah, I guess Christmas is my favorite. Thanksgiving's an awfully close one.
Okay.
It's all about just
All right.
the bringing, I don't know, it's coming
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, I get
and
that.
have you guys, our family didn't meet for Thanksgiving.
Me
We will
neither.
not be meeting for Christmas. It's just been
Yeah.
our family of 4,
Yeah.
which I will just stop and say, I love my family. I love my parents and my sister and her
too.
family. I love them. I love our family.
I love
but-
your family too, by the way. You have a great family. Anyway.
But spending these holidays with my immediate, my guys, my two guys and my husband, they have been some really, really fun times. They have been some really intimate times. They've been some great conversational times. We've done Bible studies together. We had barbecues in the backyard. We've played games. We've, done movie marathons together. And there have just been some really great moments in just being like the 4 of us. Not to say that it's always going to be that way, and my guys are getting older, and stuff, but there's just been some really tender times there. But this Christmas Eve service, I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a beautiful, the message, amazing. 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve, which is tomorrow.
Yes.
That's crazy.
So excited.
So you can bundle up the family, grab the mask.
Bring blankets.
Bring whatever.
Coats. Bring whatever. I mean, it's fun. People go caroling on Christmas. We've always walked in the cold. There's something fun about this season that even the cold. Well, yeah, it's Christmas, and so you can have some fun with that. So we're going to do it safely.
Yes.
And but we do have that live service as well as the online.
As well as the online.
I love the online, by the way, which you spearhead so many of the things that we do online. Guys, this lady is great, but what's cool about that is you may not wait until Christmas and watch the service with your family on Christmas Day. You can do that because
you
it's going to be up.
can. Yeah, for sure.
So
100%.
But yes, I agree with you. I'm very excited about this.
So one last thing, and then we're going to wrap up, and
Yeah.
I'm just going to take us back to it, the early morning prayer, because I really feel like it is, it's such an important practice.
So important.
It almost is, it's the most important practice. Without those, I'm not saying Tuesday specifically with this group and blah, 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 but the practice of having early morning quiet time. Now we say early morning, and I remember for many years, I'm not a morning person. Anybody that knows me knows I am not a morning person. I couldn't say it more. I'm not a morning person. Even when we would have services here and I had to get up at 5 and be here at 6, the whole time I'm just like, give me my coffee and give me a moment because I just had to glide in. But so maybe it's not morning, and I get that. For some people, it might be at a different part of the day. I have found over time that yes, morning tends to be the time that my heart is the quietest because I've waking up and you feel a little bit more refreshed, and the weight of the day and the concerns of the day and the responsibilities of the day have not quite put their full weight on me yet. Yes, I know about them, but I haven't stepped into them yet.
Right.
And so the idea behind these Tuesday early morning prayers are to really teach the habit of.
That is definitely part of it. Absolutely. It's why the morning? Well, first, because it's a pragmatic decision. The reality is everybody has good intentions and the day slips away, and then by nighttime, most people are saying, oh, I never got to it. Now, as much as that might not be true of a select few, that is the majority. So there's a pragmatic decision. But there's also something to be said about giving God your first. Giving God your first of everything.
That's great.
And so it's like, the morning, because God, I give you my first. I start with you.
Yeah.
And you're at the beginning. And so there is something about that. But then thirdly, it is about teaching people how to have quiet time. So we've picked one day where let's do it together. You see it modeled for you. I'm there. Lots of people are there that have been worshiping the Lord in the morning for years. So it's like you can come in and just by modeling alone, because it's not a prayer meeting. We're not saying come and let's talk and get everybody's prayer requests.
Right.
It is soloed. It is your own quiet time. It's just that you're doing your own quiet time in the community and presence of others. And it's powerful because here's why. Many of us have reduced our prayer life to devotional time, quiet time, and it really is still all about us. But what this is doing is it's giving you an environment where, yes, you're spending time with God, but you're doing it with others, you're praying over others, and it's intercessory prayer. We're praying for the world. We're praying together at the same time for our city. We're praying at the same time for our church. We're praying at the same time for our country. And so and you're doing it in community. And so there's just the combination of time with God, but in the presence of one another that it's powerful.
Well, and we've even started meetings off this way before, right? A few meetings where
totally.
we've just turned worship music on and just spent time listening to worship
and we're
music.
We're going to do more of that. It's like...
Yeah, and there's just something that happens. I think it's so important for us to be in the practice of you actually shared this. You were talking this weekend about praise a lot.
Yeah.
And you said there was reasons why people don't express their praise, and one of them has to do with the discomfort of other people watching them, basically, right?
Yeah.
So I think when you do this, you begin to step into it more, and you begin to not fear it as much.
Right. Oh, totally.
You have to expose yourself to that feeling that you would get if we were here in church and we're having worship and I don't want to raise my hand and people might be watching, and you've made it about you at that point, and so you need to learn how to take those thoughts and set them aside, because it's not about how I look or who's watching or any of those things.
No. And I just want to say, the secret sauce to that, the answer to that is it's love. And not love like love your neighbor. It's I'm so in love with Jesus.
I don't care.
Have you seen that? I think of the Christmas movie Elf when he's joking. He's going, I'm in love and I don't care who knows it, And it's this thing that the answer to that is love. It's like, no, I can't help but gush about you, Lord, because I'm in love with you. Stoke the flame of your love for the Lord, and you get over that.
So if people want to join that, Pastor Shane
at northpointe.org, because we need to give you the code, because we don't want somebody to mess up our Zoom call.
Right.
So we'll give you the code after you do Pastor Shane at northpointe.org, and you'll get in and join the community. Now I'll just be straight up. It is more fun, and there are benefits to doing this in person. The benefit of online is there's no slid.
Right.
In person, it is nice to be, we could pray. And the moment that the stay-at-home order doesn't happen, we're going to have that option too. Because we like to do both at the same time.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, for now it's virtual.
Yeah. We're going to continue this conversation next week when we talk about 2021. And one of the things I really like about 2021 and what we talk about in that one is really hearing from you, hearing your stories, hearing your testimonies, even hearing your maybe even negative thoughts about the church. We want to talk about them. We want to tackle them. We want to hear from you. Tough questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's step into it. Yeah. Let's cannonball into the pool.
Not afraid of them. Yeah, God's not afraid of the questions, so we don't need to be.
Right. Right. So a few things coming up. Christmas Eve tomorrow, 6 p.m. online or here. Make sure you bundle up.
Do it.
Christmas Day, enjoy it with your family. Take time to recognize what this day really means.
Don't miss.
What
this is
it
what
is.
Christmas Eve is about. Don't miss the moment.
Don't miss it.
Some people miss Christmas because they're so busy.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Then Sunday. Panorama.
Yes.
With Colin, really talking kind of a little bit some of the things we talked about, just kind of looking back on 2020 and really what things we could do different. We were saying
and looking
this.
Forward.
Hindsight is 2020. Yeah.
What are we going to do different?
Yeah. So there's some great opportunities to step into community, and we just want to encourage you guys. Follow us, watch us, share
and like. We want to get the word out about Jesus.
Yeah.
We want to invite people into community.
Absolutely. Into belonging and being a part of a community of believers together. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Love you
guys, we're going to see you tomorrow evening, 6 p.m., northpointe.org/live for Christmas Eve. Have a good one.